Osio, peace, shalom, namaste, salam alaikum, hotel. How everybody doing? How everybody vibing? What it do? Hope everybody feeling good for no reason at all, regardless of what may be going on. You hear me? Or where we at and what's going on. Cause it's not about what's going on. It's about how we handle it, how we able to ride the wave of what's going on. You hear me? And change our perception in order to change our attitude concerning what's going on. You hear me? But it is a lot going on. You hear me? And and we got to show up for it. That's it. I mean, it ain't no it ain't no excuse unless you give yourself one. And if you giving yourself one, you living by one. So if you got a pattern of giving yourself excuses every time something pop up uncomfortable or unwanted, then that's what it's gonna be, you know. And that's a cycle. That's a vicious cycle. And that's a cycle that if we in it, if it resonated with you some kind of way that you saw yourself in it, then it's something that you can do about it. You got a choice. You got a choice. And choice is powerful because it gives us the opportunity, you know, to put ourselves in wanted situations once we realize, once we accept, once we admit that we're in an unwanted situation. Because 2026 ain't no year to be in no type of entanglements. You hear me? No type of entanglements. You know, with no Jada Smith intended. Cause she throwing out lawsuits left and right, you hear me? But yeah, you know, our mind is the bridge that we use to walk across the waters of life. And when we come to a certain level of mastery and how we walk across the waters of life according to how we handle our life situations, then we move into a higher timeline to where we walk above the waters of life. You see, and then we be help, and we be assistance, and we be spirit guides, and we be earth angels, you know, and we be shamans, and we be magicians, and we be priestesses and high priestesses, you know, and so forth and so on, for the people, you know, who still coming along their way and learning how to walk across the waters. Stay with me. It's a message in it. You hear me? But our mind is the bridge, man. You know, and for those of us who started at 12, and I'm not talking about the clock. I'm talking about the zodiac. For those of us who started at 12 around the one, meaning the one window that we came into, you know, we all started at 12, you know, and we all come through one window, you know, whether you're a Capricorn, a Cancer, a Aries, or a Libra. You hear me? And in completion of the window that we come through, regardless of your sun sign or your zodiac sign, regardless of the window that we come through, we got aspects, you know, of the other signs and the planets that's assigned to them, you know, around the 12, you see, that we must complete also. I hope y'all caught that, because this is the mission, and this is how the one become the 12, and then step outside of it, you know, as the one. Everything I just said, we see it in movies all the time. You see. But my point is, time stops when you travel at the speed of light. So we ain't here to compare with nobody. We ain't here to compete with nobody. You know, we ain't here to be studying nobody. I see so much. I see so much foolishness going on, and that's just what I have to do. I just have to see so much foolishness going on, because once upon a time, I lived for the foolishness. I live for the recklessness. I live for the ratchetness. Um, and because I was used to it, so I understand it when I see it. But at the same time, I overstand it when I see it. And as we hear, or as we have heard, when we know better, we do better. And when you know better and you do better, you grow better. You see? I don't know who needed to hear that. And for those who did, we got better options in 2026. For those that did, 2026 don't look nothing like 2025, and it damn sure don't feel nothing like 2025. And even if we don't see no change, and in the external or physicality of things, you feel it in your energy. So just hold that space, because everything else about to collapse according to the elevation that you don't make, to put yourself in another timeline energetically, so you can see another timeline in 3D, in physicality. You hear me? Yeah. So we in a good place. I got so many downloads sitting in front of me, man. It's just a thing of where I want to start at, man. Cause this journey ain't been easy for me, and what I know, not only in what I know and what I know how to do, in realms of energy and spirituality, ain't nothing to be played with, and it just make me give honor and thanks to my ancestors. Not only the ones that I know, but the ones that I didn't get a chance to know, because it's just a reminder, not only a confirmation, but it's a reminder of what I came from. You hear me? And it's such an honor. You hear me? And the only, for those of us who don't touch ourselves by tapping into ourselves in such a way from the inside to resonate with what I'm saying, you know exactly what I'm saying. Because this journey ain't been it's easier than it was, but it ain't always been easy as it's been, and I say that because every challenge, every test, every obstacle, every setback, when we was going through them, it wasn't clear to us until we got out of them. Every moment of doubt, every struggle. It don't take for you to tell me how many times, depending on what was going on in your life, and the heaviness that came with it, and the feeling of difficulty, that was involved for you to keep going. Cause I know, I know, I know. I know what it's like. The wonder if it's worth it to keep going on. I know. The beauty is, we still here. You still here. So that means you made it through some things that you thought you would never make it through. And now, as we all able to look of how things unfolded. You see a whole different picture than you used to. You see a whole different you than you used to. You see a whole different you in the space that you abide in within yourself that you used to, because it's different. It's different. Yes, it is. And the reason that it's different is because we ain't used to it. You know, some of y'all stepping into spaces that some of us a little more ahead in our journey has already stepped into. So I spoke about this after taking some time off a little while back. But so this ain't about me. You know, it's about me, but it ain't about me, because it's others following. It's others coming along the same path that I chose. You see, and it's narrow. As many of us it may be, it's narrow. You see, it's a narrow path. Cause everybody ain't willing to face the things that we willing to face. So our spectators gonna always come from the people who book knowledge base. You know, our attacks more than likely gonna come from the people who book knowledge base. You know, or who surface knowledge based. You know, those who ain't never who never really did no deep work beyond, no deep internal work beyond the external studies, the external readings. Ain't nobody did no readings on themselves. And I ain't talking about going to a reader to do no readings on yourself. I'm talking about reading yourself by sitting in yourself, sitting by yourself, removing yourself away from the distractions, distracting yourself from the distractions, and learning how to not be distracted when distractions are occurring. That take time, that take energy, that take effort, that take discipline, and it take a lot of time that people don't have time to put that type of time into. Not out here. So I give thanks for my journey and all the places that my journey consists of, outside here in the free world society and behind the fence. When I have had incarceration periods, because Sabu ain't been no saint. See, my story, my insights, my wisdom, my energy, my vibration, it comes from everything. We ain't just gonna pick out the pretty parts like we see going on social media. A lot of these so-called spiritual leaders and so-called master teachers and whatever they want to call themselves. You see, we ain't gonna just pick out the pretty parts or the parts that make us look good, because the spirituality come with a lot of darkness. Before we even get too caught up in it, like spirituality talk about a lot of darkness. Cause to even carry it, like, you got to be done walk through a lot of darkness, and it's a lot of false light, false light beings, in disguise. If you don't know how to see them, you don't see them. They got you on the emotional roller coaster. You hear me? They got you on an emotional roller coaster. So I speak to a lot of things, to show people a lot of things. Because one thing about the truth tellers, it's so funny at what I see going on. Because one thing about the truth tellers who really, speaking that truth on the level, on the frequency, and on the vibration, we be the first ones who, those who ain't ready yet, be calling haters. when we just telling the truth. We expose, we pulling the cover. People want to see behind the veil, but then when we go to bringing that truth through expression, that snatching the veil off shit, then people make us the haters. See, this the shit, and then they don't want to. Then people don't want to. They want to feed off your energy, but they don't want to support. Not a like, not a share, not a donation, none of that. And I don't ask for nothing. You know, we don't chase beg or borrow over here. But I'm just speaking to what the ancestors want me to say. You hear me? Because if you don't been over here, you held accountable for everything that you took in. You held accountable. You see? So if I don't get it, see, the ancestors gonna get it about you. Cause if you don't know why I'm here, they do. Why we think I be covered the way that I be covered? You know, yeah. And I went off. You know, I went off the track for whatever reason. But if I went off the track, it was on track. Somebody needed to hear that. You know, and as well as some of us need to be reminded of that. But yeah, man, I know it's uncomfortable. The space is different, and with difference come uncomfortability. That's why most of us don't like change to begin with, because you know, because we ain't familiar with what all may come with the change. So yeah, the space that we presently in is uncomfortable. Because we're not used to it. But one thing I know that we all can agree on energetically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, is the truth that regardless of the unfamiliarity of this present space that we feeling, you know, regardless of the unfamiliarity of this space that we presently in, of the higher space, pun intended, that we presently in, and we created because we created it for ourselves. I want to emphasize that we created it. It ain't just happened, you see, by mistake. We put in work. And I want to give us credit for the work that we have put in. You see, cause like I told somebody the other day, you know, only what you put in it, it's what you gonna get out of it. So ain't none of us could be looking at nobody else's lane, you know, about how they moving or what they doing, you know, when we should have been putting our energy and our effort and our focus and our attention and our awareness into ourselves. You see, and that flashlight on ourselves, that magnifying glass on ourselves, man, and working out our own kinks and cracks and crevices. You see, you know. But my point was, in the unfamiliarity, in the higher space that we created, it feel way better than that shit that we was used to, don't it? And it just don't only feel better than the space that we came up out of. You know, life much better too. We can't leave that part out. You hear me? We can't leave that part out, man. And it ain't nothing wrong. Even if some of us find ourselves having to start over. And I don't have to start over a lot of times in life. You know, believe it or not, I don't have to start over a lot of times in life. And there's layers to that, and there's levels to that. In different kind of ways, I don't have to start over a lot of times in life. And I ain't gonna use the word HATE, you know. But I was close to that. But that was close to how I felt about, you know, having to start over. That was close to how I felt about about change. Because we love what we used to because we used to it. But a lot of times everything that we used to and all that we used to ain't no good for us at all. You know? But we just make good of it because that's what we used to. And I understand that. But we ain't got to stay in them spaces. We ain't got to stay in them places. You hear me? They got me talking tonight. So I get it, man. I get it. I get it. We can get caught up in memories of what it's been. We can get caught up in memories of what it was. You know. But we don't want to stay stuck there. And even if we glance back to what it's been, even if we glance back to what it was, just glance back to remember what it took you through to gain the tools that you now have to build with. That's for somebody. And that's what make it all worth it. Cause you better because you better because of it all. And if you're not, and if you're somebody who come across and you're not, what have you been doing with your life? But if you're somebody who not, you got an opportunity to do something with your life now. If you listening to this message and make it all worth it. You ever felt like you wanted to give up? If you ever felt like, is it worth it? And you listening to this message, it was all worth it. Because it was all part of the preparation. You hear me? And many times life will take us through things that we don't want to go through, you know, but it's necessary for us to go through just to see if we're going to stay true to ourselves. A lot of times life will put people in our lives to take us through things. You see, just to see if we're going to stay true to ourselves. You see? So whatever occurring, just to see if you're going to stay true to yourself, it's all part of the preparation. Stay authentically you, because I am authentically me. You hear me? And I wouldn't want to be nobody else. Because I don't know what they wrote out before they came here to experience this, this blessing of an opportunity as a human being that we get by being in human form. Arm, leg, arm, head. It's the highest bestowment, you know, on earth. But at the same time, it's the lowest. If you know, you know. I ain't gonna even explain that because we ain't doing all of that in 2026. No, not at all. You hear me? But if you've been rocking with Zawu, forward. You've been. But before I go into that, they told me to back it up. It's all been preparation, man, for inward transformation. You know, to see if you're gonna stay true to yourself. Because if you can't stay, if you somebody who ain't true to yourself, what can I do with you? That's how I be looking at it, you know. You know, and all the losses, we gain so much more, and when we realize it, we're gonna be empowered. You know, patience, resilience, knowledge, wisdom, awareness, peace, strength, joy. You know, some are saying, many of us didn't know what until we went through certain things. We wasn't even able to picture the other side. We wouldn't even imagine of what the other side could be without having the experiences of going through certain things. I don't know who need to hear that. So it was preparation, and the preparation that you now have, the tools that you now have, is what made it worth it. You see? So as I was saying, if you've been rocking with Sawu genuinely, nobody can say they don't see the power of God in your life. And I ain't talking about nothing external, cause we ain't dealing with nothing outside ourselves over here. You see, my name's Sawu the God for a reason, and I ain't saying I'm the Almighty. You see, you see, but I know the source of my being in the higher realms, as well as the source of my beings. Thank you, mom and pops, on this earthly realm. You hear me? If you know, you know. Like I say, we ain't explaining things in 2026 like we did previously. You see, we gonna see exactly where everybody at, cause ain't nobody hiding under the shadow of our light in 2026. You see, so everybody gonna bear witness of themselves. You see, by the work that's been put in. So it's gonna speak for self, cause we ain't carrying nobody. Everybody grown, and you can't, since we can't tell grown folks nothing, then we gonna see how we gonna see exactly how everybody carrying it. You hear me? You know, that's how the ancestors say we rocking for the remainder. You hear me? You know, but like I say, nobody can say they ain't see the power of God in your life. You know, and by the evidence of that, you see, if you can stamp that, then this your moment. Everybody else gonna be watching you now. Just the same way you had to watch everybody else, and you ain't hate, you ain't hold your nuts. You know, as we say in the South, on nobody. You wish people well, and you know, regardless of what you was going through and your struggles and in your challenges. You see, this your moment. This your moment. You hear me? You know, it's your moment, cause you the proof. You the proof that what you had to go through wasn't the end of your journey. You know, it was just the beginning of you creating new chapters and how you gonna live what you know as your life story. You hear me? So, yeah, whoever it's for, you know, it was for you. So from this point on, if anybody asks you how you do it, just tell them. Just tell them what I tell them. Just looking at myself. Looking at myself, that's the solution. You know? And you gotta be brutally honest when you do it, you hear me? That's the only way the authenticity gonna come through. You heard? And I stamp that. Besides, why would you worship anything outside yourself if you came from it? see, my ancestors, man, they something else, man. They real slick. They real slick talkers. But I'm gonna leave y'all with that. If you ain't like the video by now, like the video, share the video. You could comment on the video. You can ask the question. You hear me? Just don't get too If you got a question, ask it. We'll put it like that. If we have to go beyond that for the solution, you know, we'll go through emails or whatever needed and figure it out. You hear me? But yeah, man, it's the price up in 2026, man. We know our value, you know, and all of that. So we gonna act like it with one another. You hear me? And feel good for no reason at all. I'm known as Sawu. Be you how you be you. Like I say, like, share, comment, question, so forth. You could drop a cash app if you want. $SAIDWO $SAIWOODAGOD. You know, cat on the cash app, whatever, man. And I appreciate y'all too. You hear me? Those that do, and those those that have been, I appreciate y'all. Anything else want to come through? We'll save it for next time, man. I love y'all. Cosmic Consciousness, Family and Soul Tribe, BCU, Big Chief University. I love y'all. Peace.